You know, in 30 years of sitting across from people, I've seen more ways to lose money than most folks have had hot dinners. I've seen people panic sell at the bottom of crash. I've seen them get greedy and ride a hot stock all the way down to zero. But the stories that stick with you, the ones that wake you up at 3 a.m., are the ones about retirement. When you're young, you've got time. You can make a mistake, dust yourself off, and get back to work. Time is a great eraser. But when you're 70 years old, time is the one thing you've run out of. I want to tell you a story about a couple I knew. We'll call them Arthur and Brenda. They were 72 and 70 years old, respectively, living in a beautiful little paid-for house in Pennsylvania. And they were just about to lose it all. And the worst part? The absolute most tragic part of this whole thing? Brenda didn't even see it coming. Arthur and Brenda were good people. The kind of people you'd want as neighbors. They'd been married 48 years. Brenda was the worrier, the planner. She had envelopes for everything: groceries, property tax, grandkids' birthdays. She'd been a nurse for 40 years, and she had that nurse's practicality. She knew how to stretch a dollar until it screamed. Arthur was a dreamer. He'd been an engineer at a local plant, a good one, but he always had that itch, that feeling that he'd missed something. He was a big picture guy, or so he told Brenda. He handled investments, which, in their case, was just a small 401k he'd rolled over, and the long-term planning. Brenda trusted him. Why wouldn't she? He was her Arthur. Their retirement dream wasn't fancy. They lived on about $2,800 a month from their 2 Social Security checks, plus a little extra Brenda made from her incredible garden. She sold her heirloom tomatoes and prize-winning zinnias at the local farmer's market. It was a good, simple life. Their one big dream was sitting in the driveway. It was a 1974 Airstream, a 31-foot Sovereign. Arthur had bought it for a song 15 years ago, a rusted-out shell, and for 15 years, he'd restored it. Every rivet, every piece of polished aluminum, every scrap of birchwood inside, it was his masterpiece. The plan was, this summer, they were finally going to take it. They were going to drive to Yellowstone. Brenda had a map on the fridge with the route all planned out. Their house, a sturdy brick colonial they bought in 1978, was their fortress. It was paid in full, or so Brenda thought. That was the foundation of her entire world. No matter what happened, a health scare, a bad storm, they had their home. It was theirs. That belief, that beautiful, simple, and tragically wrong belief, is what nearly destroyed them. The day it all unraveled was a Tuesday in May. Brenda was out back, staking her tomatoes. She came inside, wiping the sweat from her forehead, and went through the mail. Junk, a card from her sister, and a thick, cream-colored envelope from a bank they didn't use. First National Trust. She opened it. The words didn't make sense at first. Final notice of intent to accelerate. Failure to cure default. Foreclosure proceedings. And then a number that made her drop the letter on the kitchen floor. $85,000. It was a home equity line of credit. A HELOC taken out against her house. Her paid-for house. She told me later she thought it was a scam, a mistake. She picked up the phone, her hand shaking, and called the bank. The man on the other end was polite, cold. He confirmed the account number. He confirmed the name. Arthur P. Hensington. He confirmed the address. Ma'am, the account is 90 days delinquent. The full balloon payment of $85,000, plus penalties, was due on March 1st. We've sent for prior notices. Brenda looked at the stack of mail on the hall table. The mail Arthur always got it first. She felt the blood drain from her face. When Arthur came home from the VFW, she was sitting at the kitchen table. The letter was in front of her. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just said, "Arthur, what is this?" He didn't even look at it. He knew. He just crumbled. A 72-year-old man, a man who had built that Airstream with his bare hands. He just sat down across from her, put his head in his hands, and started to sob. It had started 5 years earlier. Arthur's old Army buddy, a guy named Mitch, had called him out of the blue. Mitch was living down in Florida, living the dream. He was flipping properties. Pre-construction condos in a booming new development. "Arthur, my boy, it's a can't miss." Mitch had boomed over the phone. "The developer is a genius. We're getting in on the ground floor. I'm talking a guaranteed 20% return year on year. I put my own money in. You know I wouldn't steer you wrong." Guaranteed. There's a word that should set off every alarm bell in your head. In investing, the only thing guaranteed is that there are no guarantees. As Warren Buffett's partner, Charlie Munger, used to say, the first rule of compounding: never interrupt it unnecessarily. But even before that, you have to avoid the big, stupid mistakes. Arthur, though, he wasn't thinking. He was feeling. He was 67. He looked at a small rollover IRA. He looked at their modest Social Security. He looked at Brenda, pinching pennies at the farmer's market. He felt small. He felt like he'd missed the boat. All his life, he'd played it safe. He'd never hit the home run. This was his chance. He told himself he was doing it for Brenda, to give her a retirement where she didn't have to count tomato money. So he went to a different bank, not their little local credit union. He went to a big, faceless one downtown, and he took out a home equity line of credit, an $85,000 line of credit. He didn't tell Brenda. It was his signature. It was his name on the deed, too. It was legal. He wired the money to Sunshine Properties, LLC. For the first 2 years, it was great. He got statements. He got dividend checks. $1 for $2.50 every quarter, just like clockwork. 20% a year. He'd take the checks, deposit them, and immediately use that money to pay the interest-only payment on the Helic. He'd even tell Brenda, just moving some money around for tax purposes, hon. She'd nod and go back to her garden. But what Arthur didn't know is that he was the victim of a classic Ponzi scheme. The dividends he was getting, it was just his own money being fed back to him. Then, 3 years in, the dividends stopped. The website went down. Mitch's phone was disconnected. For 2 years, Arthur had lived in a cold, silent panic. The Helic payments were still due. He'd been paying them out of their savings. The $50,000 Brenda thought was their everything emergency fund. He drained it all, just to tread water, just to hide the grenade he'd thrown into the middle of their lives. He kept hoping. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe Mitch would call. He'd go out and polish the Airstream, his stomach in knots, pretending everything was fine. And now the balloon payment was due. The bank wanted its $85,000, and the savings account was empty. There was nothing left to hide behind. That's when they came to my office. Brenda walked in first, her back straight, her face pale. Arthur shuffled in behind her, looking at the floor. He looked like a man who'd been hollowed out. They sat on my sofa. Brenda laid the foreclosure notice on my desk. She told the story, her voice never wavering. Arthur just sat there, twisting a button on his jacket. When she was done, there was a long silence. "Arthur," I said, leaning forward, "look at me." He slowly raised his eyes. They were red-rimmed. "Arthur, you're not an investor. You're a speculator. And you bet the one thing in this world you had no right to bet, your wife's home." Brenda flinched, but I had to say it. The truth was the only tool we had left. You heard the word guaranteed, and your brain shut off. I said, You got hit with a classic case of FOMO, fear of missing out. You saw your buddy living the dream, and you thought, why not me? You forgot that when an investment sounds too good to be true, it always is. No exceptions. I just wanted to give her a better life, Arthur whispered. I just wanted to hit a home run. A home run, I said. I picked up the notice. You swung for the fences, and you didn't just strike out, you blew up the stadium. Arthur, the home run wasn't some scam condo in Florida. The home run was paying off this house. The home run was 48 years of marriage. The home run was sitting right in your driveway, polished and ready to go. You had won the game. You just decided to put all your winnings back on the table for one more spin of the wheel. Brenda finally broke. She let out a quiet sob. What do? We have nothing. Our savings are gone. All off it for his interest payments. Okay, I said, grabbing a legal pad. No more crying. Not yet. We have work to do. We're in damage control. The game isn't about getting rich anymore. The game is about not being poor. It's about saving this house. So let's look at the facts. What do we have? We have Social Security, Brenda said. $2,800 a month. Our house, Arthur said. The bank says it's worth about $400,000. And Arthur couldn't say it. Brenda said it for him. And the Airstream, he just had it appraised for insurance. It's worth $60,000. I wrote it down. Assets, house, $400,000. Airstream, $60,000. Debts, Hellick, $85,000 plus penalties. Let's call it $90,000. Income, $2,800 per MO. Savings, $0. All right, I said, we have two options. Neither one is good. Both of them are painful. But both of them will let you sleep tonight. That's what we're buying back. Sleep. Option A, we sell the house. Brenda looked like I'd slapped her. Sell our home? Listen, I said gently. You sell the house for, let's say, $380,000 after fees. You pay the bank the $90,000 you owe. That leaves you with $290,000 in cash. You go buy a nice $180,000 two-bedroom condo. No mortgage. You put the remaining $110,000 in a simple, conservative investment. That's your new emergency fund. Your retirement. You still have your Social Security. You lose the house, you lose the garden, but you are 100% debt-free. And you keep the Airstream, Arthur. Arthur looked up, a little spark in his eyes. Brenda saw it. No, Brenda said, her voice firm. I am not leaving my home. I am not leaving my garden. I will not be driven out of my home. Okay, I said, holding up a hand. That's a valid choice. That means we're in a firefight to save it. That leads us to option B. I looked at Arthur. He already knew. You sell the Airstream. I said, Arthur visibly deflated. The Airstream? Yes, you sell it. Tomorrow. You don't dicker. You don't wait for the right buyer. You take the $60,000. You march into that bank, and you put all against the $90,000 principal. That leaves you owing $30,000. But we still owe $30,000, Brenda said, and we have no savings. No, I said, here's what we do. We go to your local credit union, the one where you know the manager. We show them the situation. We show them the $60,000 payment. We show them your Social Security. We get a new, simple, fixed-rate loan for $30,000. At their income, they could just afford the payment. I turned to both of them. But afford means a new life. You're eating out money? Gone. Your little extras? Gone. Brenda, Your farmer's market money doesn't go to the grandkids anymore. It goes to the bank. You too are going to live like you're completely, totally bankrupt. Because right now you are. You will not see the inside of a restaurant unless you are washing dishes there. Every single cent goes to that $30,000 debt until it is gone. It's scorched earth. I let that sink in. Arthur, I said, you can have your house, or you can have your trailer. You can't have both. Your mistake cost you one of them. Which one is it? Arthur looked at his wife. He looked at her, really looked at her. He saw the 48 years. He saw the woman who had stood by him, the woman whose trust he had broken. He reached across the table and put his hand on hers. We sell the Airstream, he said. His voice was thick, but it was clear. We sell it today. They did it. It was hard. Arthur told me selling that trailer felt like selling a part of himself. But he said the moment the check cleared and he paid the bank, he stood outside with Brenda on their front porch, and for the first time in 5 years, he could breathe. It took them 3.5 years to pay off that last $30,000. They lived on rice and beans. But they did it. Together. The secret was gone, and that, it turned out, was the real cancer. I tell you this story not to scare you, but to warn you. When you are in or near retirement, the rules of the game change. You are no longer in the accumulation phase. You are in the preservation phase. Warren Buffett famously said, "Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. Arthur forgot. He got greedy, he got emotional, and he bet the house. And that secrecy in a marriage, money is a team sport. Keeping a secret like that is like taking a drill to the foundation of your own home. It will eventually all come crashing down. So, please listen to your old grandpa. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. If it's guaranteed, run the other way. And don't you ever be so proud or so scared that you hide the truth from the person you're building a life with. The real home run, it's not a hot stock. It's not a secret deal. It's go to bed at night next to the person you love in a house that's all yours and knowing, truly knowing that you are safe. Don't bet the house. Not ever.